Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. Welcome to the lecture video course introduction and the syllabus review for the fall 2021 offering of IS446 Systems Analysis and Design. So we are here and we are looking at the Moodle site for this course. So you, as a person registered for the course, you ought to be able to go um, and uh, and look at this. You ought to be able to log in to Canvas, and you ought to be able to get that done. Now, let me click on the little button that'll give us the student view. So this is the view that you should be seeing. Okay. There's a part up here for announcements. Just after I finish recording this, I'm going to change the link, so the weekly schedule links to this, and I'm going to put a welcome announcement into the announcements form. Okay, and that's how you'll know to come and engage with the content. The next module that we have there in Canvas, these boxes are called modules, is one I created to identify the course. The way we've configured Canvas, it only shows the course code in the upper left, and I put this here so when you're on the page, you know what course you're on. This has the course and the section and the course name. Okay. This is the first time I'm using a Canvas at Illinois, but I did use Canvas for quite a while at another university. Despite that, coming back to it, because things have changed and I've been away, I'm having my challenges, but I fully expect to get through that. What I've done is I've kind of organized this homepage like the pages of my Moodle course have been organized in the last couple of years. So up at the top of the page, we usually have a bunch of resources that we have up there for quick access. So I created a little module here, resources for quick access, and these are the things that were usually up in the top of my Moodle page. There's a link to the syllabus. Okay, and if you click through on that, you should see the syllabus. Okay, and we're going to come back and see that soon. Okay. There's a link to here. There's a link to our weekly schedule that has a name, Detailed Weekly Schedule for this course. Okay, and we can click through on that. And we can go to the weekly schedule application that has all the information in it about what's happening this week, what you're supposed to read, what recordings you're supposed to play, what kind of things you're supposed to do to get ready for the discussion, what assignments are due, all those kinds of things. Okay. Canvas has a schedule feature. I'm not using it. Okay. I'm using my own weekly schedule site, and we'll be back here in a couple minutes too. There's an open discussion forum. Okay. This is a great place for students to interact with students. I will come by from time to time. This is not the place to get immediately needed help from me. The way to do that is to go to the service desk for this course, and I'll be talking about that in a couple of minutes. Okay. We have a team formation and project selection forum. Okay. We're going to be forming up into teams. You're going to form into teams, and we're going to do a systems analysis oriented project for a real client that you're going to find. Okay, we're really going to talk about a lot of that on the first evening that we meet in class. And we're going to do activities in class to try to identify projects and potential teammates and all those kinds of things. And I have a forum that you can use as well. So that's why that's here. And there'll be a lot more information and context for this on the first evening that we meet. Okay? So stay tuned. Um, there is a page here that has the links to the Zoom meetings. Okay. We have two different kind. We have one for our class sessions on Wednesday evenings, and we have one for our optional lab sessions on Sunday afternoons. Okay, and as we use these up, they're going to float to the top. Okay. All right, so those are the resources for quick access. Those are the things I typically would have put in the top of a Moodle page, and so that's why they're prioritized towards the top here. Um, Here's a section that has course information. So I have a page called Details about the course, the instructor, and the TA. And if you click through on this page, uh, it's got metadata about the course. Of course, I'm the instructor. I know who the TA is going to be. We haven't formally gotten the TA started, so I've left this as TBA, to be announced. That's going to happen quite soon. Okay. One of the things that I say here is about how I can be contacted. I'm not going to hold conventional open office hours. Okay. I do hold two sessions during the week that are lab sessions. I hold one at the very end of our normal class, and I hold one on early Sunday afternoons. You can certainly come to either of those or both to get questions answered and for help. If you need to talk to me more privately, you can schedule an individual meeting by using the service desk for this course and sending me a request for an individual meeting. We'll meet on Zoom. Okay? The preferred way to contact me is using the service desk system. Before we're done, you'll see a link to a tutorial about how to use that. Okay? And that's the way to contact the TA as well. Okay, so let's go back up. Okay, now we have a whole section dedicated to your preferred name. So let's click through on that page. It's very important to us, and by us I mean the university, the iSchool, me as an instructor, you as a student, um, your fellow students. It's very interesting and important for us to treat each other as real people with due respect and recognition. Okay? That is facilitated in part by calling you by your preferred name. Um, and people also use this feature to get in their preferred pronouns. Okay? So, what you put into the formal systems at the university and the iSchool, the name that comes up on here, it says Moodle in Zoom, but I really meant to say Canvas in Zoom. I'm going to have to fix that. Um, what name you have in there is what we're going to call you. Okay. And like I said, there's an opportunity to put your pronouns in there as well. And this is generally important to people. Okay. So I have a link here to a help article that was created by the iSchool Help Desk on how to change your name in university systems so we can call you what you prefer to be called. Okay, so that's what that is. That's something I'd like you to get done before the first time we meet in class. So we can begin to call you what you prefer to be called right away. All right. Um, Contact us. What do I mean by us? I mean me, the instructor, and the TA who will be announced uh, early next week. Okay. Um, so let's click through on that page. Okay. Instead of using email to contact each other, we're going to be using an application that I have. It's called the Service Desk for this course. It's a help desk ticket system that just applies to this course. It's implemented with a product called Jira Service Management. Okay. Uh, if you don't know anything about this, then you probably want to read this Service Desk introduction. You probably want to click through on that. Okay. Um, and to get to the Service Desk for this course, there's a link up here called Service Desk for this course. And I've gotten through to the page where you can pick what type of ticket you want to open and start to fill it out. But you, if you don't already have a login, will have to go through identifying yourself to the server. So how are you going to know how to do all that stuff? Well, let's go back here. We have a link to a tutorial video on how to play my YouTube. So if you get to this point and you haven't played that yet, that's a good thing to play. And then there's a tutorial video on how to use the Service Desk for this course. That's how you find out how to use the Service Desk. And then there's a copy of the slides that we cover within the video. We don't use email because email gets missed. I historically, I've been doing this help desk approach for more than 5 years. I've been doing it for a while. And it works better than the email approach that I used before that. Two things that I like. One is I miss many fewer requests for assistance from students. I can't say I miss zero, but it's pretty close to zero. And then the other thing is the ticket stays alive until we're done with it and we close it. Without a ticketing system, I would find that we'd start a conversation and it would get interrupted and it would go by the wayside. Okay? So, yeah, it takes a little bit of extra effort to learn how to use this, but most students would agree by the end of the semester that it's a very favorable way to keep in contact for this course. There are two more modules. There's one called Submit Assignments, okay? And this is where you're going to submit all the hand-in assignments. I don't have any content in there yet because I don't have all the assignments on the weekly schedule yet. But certainly by the end of the first week of the course, these are going to begin to show up here, and they would include things like skills practice assignments. So we're going to learn a skill of how you document requirements. We're going to learn that. We'll have a skills practice assignment, a homework assignment, and we'll have an activity here for you to be able to submit. And then there'll be a submit activity for the final project. Okay? For skills practice assignments and not for the final project because it doesn't really apply, I will be posting my version of the solution the day that we're going to discuss it in class. Okay, and so I'll have these all lined up here, and I'll make them visible to you right before class. And one of the major features of those classes in which we're reviewing these skills practice assignments that we've done is that you're going to compare what you did with what your colleagues did and what I did. We're going to break up into groups, and uh, we'll try to get a good handle on um, how we can have more than one good solution, so they don't all have to be the same. Some differences are favorable, some are unfavorable, some are kind of neutral, okay? But by the time we finish talking about the assignment, you should have a good kind of understanding of how well you did on the assignment and what kind of latitude you have when you do those kinds of when you do that kind of work. Okay, so we've talked through everything that's on our Canvas page. The next thing I want to go is I want to go to the weekly schedule for the course. Okay, I'd like to tell you that I have it all up. Okay, I don't. I've been teaching systems analysis for a long time. I think the first time I taught it at the high school was maybe 2009, right? So I've taught it here and other places for a long time. Um, Systems analysis practices have changed during that time. I've gone through a series of textbooks. Um, uh, I taught this course in spring 2021 with a pretty traditional textbook about systems analysis, and then a book on uh, the agile approach to systems development. Actually, a couple of books about agile. And what's happened for this current semester, fall 2021, is I've replaced the kind of underlying basic systems analysis book from a sort of old line, slightly stodgy one to a newer one. It's this book by Spurrier and Topi. And it's got so much good stuff in it that I'm kind of challenged to figure out exactly how much we can cover. Okay, so at this point, of the 17 weeks of the course, I populated weeks 1 through 4. So if you click on week 1 or you click on week 4, you'll get a real weekly schedule in which it's going to say what we're doing there and what's due, all that kind of stuff. Weeks 5 through the end are under construction. And I'm going to be away on vacation starting. Well, I'm supposed to be on vacation right now. But I'm doing this recording. But I'll be back on the 23rd, the first day of the semester, and I'll get to work on getting the rest of the schedule in. Okay. So by the first time we meet, let's select, we meet on uh, Wednesday evening. By Wednesday evening, the 25th, I'll already have another couple weeks in here, and it won't be long before I have the detail in all of them. Okay. What's the typical schedule page look like? Well, there's a block for each date. Each event that happens during the week gets a block of content. So here on Wednesday, we have our class session. And then on Sunday from 12 to 1, we have a dedicated online lab session. And then on the Sunday night, at the end of the night, if we have some kind of handout assignment for the week, it's always going to be due at this weekly assignments deadline on Sunday night at 11:55 p.m. Okay, so this is a typical organization of a schedule page. Okay. For the Wednesday class, I've got the topics we're going to do. In this case, it's going to be course startup things. I'm going to welcome you in terms of reviewing the syllabus and the weekly schedule. You're going to do that by playing this recording. We are going to do introductions. That's going to be really important for us. Among other things, we're going to be forming teams. Okay, so if you want to form teams, you want to be able to pay attention to what other people in the class and what are their skills and interests, right? And then we're going to cover some content and have some discussions about what does the systems analyst do. So we got some readings that include the syllabus and an article on how architects work with their clients, which I think is a good kind of have a good metaphor for how systems analysts work with their clients. We have got the video that I'm recording right now. We're going to have a link to that. We're going to have two class discussions. One is where you're going to introduce yourself, and the other is where we're going to ask the question, how are systems analysts like architects in the home building industry? Okay, I'm trying to get us a really kind of a broad understanding of what kind of role a systems analyst is going to take. And the metaphor that I'm using here is that, well, it's kind of the role that an architect would take with a family who wanted to design and build a single family home. Okay. On Sunday, there's an optional lab session. These are sessions where, before that, at the end of every class, we're going to have a lab session. Okay. A lot of classes are going to end before the 2 hours, in which case I'm definitely going to be available for the rest of that 2 hour time. And I usually have time afterward such that I can continue the lab time until you guys are out of things that you want to ask about. So the first lab time of the week is going to be at the end of the class session, in our case on Wednesday night. We're going to have a dedicated lab time on Sunday afternoon from 12 to 1. Okay. In these lab sessions, anything that you want help with, any questions that you have, anything you'd like to discuss, I would come and we'll discuss it. It's a group activity, first come, first serve. Okay. The one thing that I want you to do for this week is to send a greetings post to the service desk for this course. So that's what's going on. So that's in detail what we're going to be doing in week 1. Let's just take a brief view at the next 3 weeks so you have an idea what's coming up. Okay, in week 2, we're going to be talking about competing views of the systems development process. There is a kind of older school approach to systems analysis and computer systems development, okay, that's been around for a long time. Some people call that a big plan up front approach or the waterfall approach. There's a more contemporary approach called agile agile systems development. So there's this agile approach, and one of the really nice things is that this text that we're using, the Sperrier and Topi book, um, they uh, they have a point of view that says uh, you can do a traditional approach, you can do an agile approach, or you can do some kind of hybrid. So we we begin with chapter one from the Spurrier and Topi book, which gives you a broad view of all the kinds of possibilities. And we're also going to read at chapters one, two, and three from the Layton book, which is Agile Project Management for Dummies. And so we're going to get from the readings and then from my lecture on the Spurrier and Topi chapter some pretty good input on um, what are the alternative kind of views of how to do this activity and how we might choose among them. And then, of course, we're going to discuss that. Okay, so that's what's going on in week two. Okay, in week three, um, I call this the the sort of the name of the module is anticipating the make versus buy decisions. Uh, Not all software solutions are built from scratch. Certainly, when I got into the software industry 40 some years ago, they were. You know, there was some package software that we bought, but now there's a whole lot of package software. Uh, so, you can build something from scratch. You can buy a software package. You can subscribe to some kind of solution that runs in the cloud, or you could have some kind of hybrid of all those things. Um, those are the kind of things that we're going to be talking about this week. We're going to be covering chapter 7 in the Spurrier and Topi book. Okay, I'm going to have a lecture on chapter 7 in the Spurrier and Topi book. Okay, and our decision is going to be uh, what kind of things uh, what kind of things are important to you? Okay, uh, what what software are you likely to be looking to do systems analysis for the making or the acquisition of that software? Let's get you thinking and talking about that, and then we're going to have a secondary discussion on how we're going to make an informed choice of our you think uh, we're going to do a project for this course, so we have to be thinking about how do we make a choice. Are we going to take a traditional approach, the so-called big plan up front approach? Are we going to take an agile approach? Are we going to take a hybrid approach? Okay, we're going to be keeping our eye on that decision. Okay, so that's week 3. And in week 4, we're going to be talking about the process of uh, capturing and understanding the requirements for whatever solution we're going to buy or build. Okay, we're going to be covering Spurrier and Topi chapter 2. I'm going to be doing a lecture. Okay, and we're going to have a discussion on the requirement solicitation process and of the stuff that has come up in the readings. Well, what do you like? What do you not like? right? Because you as a systems analyst will be eliciting the requirements, and there are a lot of different ways that you can do it. Okay. So those are the detail weeks that I have. There'll be a couple of more activities that I'm going to add when I get back from vacation that have to do with the process of identifying what projects we might want to work on as teams uh, and identifying the team members. I don't really have all the activities in here for this. Um, Schedule wise, we're going to be spending about half of the semester. Let's see, we've got. I think we meet like 15 times, something like that. Okay. Um, yeah, because we've got 16 usable weeks, and one of them is a down week. So we meet 15 times. Okay. So we're going to use about half of that. We're probably going to use about the first, say, seven to learn kind of broad systems analysis points of view and skills and all that kind of stuff. At the same time, we're going to be looking for projects to do. Okay, and we're going to find the projects ourselves. We're going to want a project with somewhere between 2 and 4 people on it. And what kind of project is it going to be? Well, it's going to be some kind of computer system solution to a problem that some organization, a business, uh, higher education, not for profit, something, research, uh, there's some kind of opportunity that we want to capitalize or some problem that we want to solve. And we're going to we're going to either um, document the requirements and design a solution, or if we take an agile approach, we're going to lightly document um, the requirements, and we're going to build whatever we have time to build for the solution. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities in class to meet with and talk with other people. I'll break us up into groups where we're kind of brainstorming about projects and identifying, uh, talking out about potential clients and projects and teammates. Okay, we have a forum that we're going to use for that, but essentially, we're going to spend the first half of the semester getting our head around what we're doing, finding a client, organizing it, forming a team, and then we're going to spend the second half of the semester um, going and doing the project. Will we still have class in the second half of the semester? Yeah, we will, because there'll be some specific skills that we're going to need while we're doing the doing in the second half that we won't have time to have covered in the first half. Okay? So, I would have liked to have every bit of the schedule up at this point. I'm going to talk about it a lot when we get together in our first meeting, which is again on the 25th. Okay. And to the extent that it's not completely clear right now, it'll be a lot clearer then. Okay. Um, let's go take a look at the syllabus before we're done here. Okay. So here's the syllabus, and let's make it maybe a little bit bigger. Okay. I'm just going to try to talk about things I haven't talked about already. Uh, so the title of the course, the semester, the course number, the instructor, and the fact that we haven't announced the teaching assistant yet. I've talked about all those, so I won't talk about them again. Our regular classes are going to be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Wednesday evenings. Okay. These optional online labs sessions happen twice a week. Okay. One is going to be at the end of our normal class session, and then the other is going to be in a dedicated time from noon to 1 on Sunday afternoon. Okay. Um, this is this is a place to ask questions, get help, um, talk through things, just kind of see what people are coming to talk about. You can do any of those things. Um, if you have special circumstances and you can't make either of the meetings and you need to schedule one with me individually, then please do it by sending me a request for an individual meeting via the service desk for the course. I don't have conventional office hours. Okay, so either uh, come to these optional lab times or request an individual meeting, especially if you have something to talk about that's private or sensitive. Okay, we'll work out a time and we'll meet in an individual meeting room on Zoom. Okay. Well, I already talked about this when I was going through the Canvas site. The way to contact me and the TA when we have one announced is using the service desk for the course. I give my telephone number here as an emergency number in case the whole service desk has gone kaflooey, um, and you need to get me to help with that. There's a course description here that I'm going to leave for you to read. There's a list of topics. Uh, I got these all out of the new textbook, and I was greedy when I was making up the list. I said, what, what parts of the text would I want us to cover in my heart of hearts? Okay, and I came up with a list that's way too long. Okay, so I'm eventually going to thin this out. Okay, there's so much good stuff in this Spurrier and Topi book, but we don't have time to read and to discuss all of it. Um, some of it we're just going to have to leave for another day. Okay, so expect this list to get a little bit shorter. Um, the learning outcomes, again, I'm going to leave for you to read. Okay. The required text. Spurrier and Topi is a great book. I was already incorporating some ideas from it when I was teaching back in the spring, but um, I wasn't ready to pull the trigger on the book. I finally did that over the summer, so we're using it this time. Um, it's a general book that has a really good discussion of all the various approaches that are current in systems analysis, and it really tries to be kind of encyclopedic. It kind of talks about alternatives, how compatible with each other, how you might do hybrids. These are very thoughtful authors, and it's a very comprehensive book. Uh, the Layton book, Agile Project Management for Dummies, is a more of a popular book about agile system development. It's not a college text like Spurrier and Topi is. It's not really meant to be kind of even-handed and unbiased. It's a pretty biased um, book that makes the case for taking the agile approach. Um, for people who are already interested in the agile approach before they came to class, or for people who get a definite interest in it, um, I really did want you guys to see how uh, how Agile is kind of sold and taught by the people who are big current proponents for Agile in the field. Technology requirements. You're going to need a computer, okay? Um, I recommend that you pick one that either runs Windows 10 or a recent release of Mac OS. Okay. You can choose a computer that runs Linux because we do support it here at the iSchool, but I won't be able to support you particularly well. So I recommend that you go with either the Windows 10 or recent Mac OS. Um, One of the big things that we're going to be doing in the class is we're going to be creating kind of systems analysis documents that capture the requirements and express those. We're going to be using Lucid Chart to do that. And we're going to be using the free education version of Lucid Chart. It will run on Windows and Mac OS and Linux as well. There'll be more details on that the week before we need to use it. Okay, it runs in a web browser, so it's not something that you have to install. Um, for teams that decide that they want to take an agile approach to systems analysis, that means that they're going to have to do several sprints of system development. Okay. In that case, you're going to need more computer stuff. Okay. What I can make available to the teams is from some of my other courses. Um, I've got access to, Anaconda, Python, uh, PyCharm, Django, all those kinds of things from my IS430 and IS439 courses. I can make sure that you get access to that kind of free software. Okay. Some teams are going to do complete agile and they're going to implement something, and some teams are going to do complete waterfall or big plan up front, and they're only going to document their requirements and their design. Okay, so you're you're not going to need these implementation tools unless your team is going to take that agile approach. There's a link here to the course schedule. We've already been there. Here's a list of course elements. So we've got readings. I recommend that you do the readings. We've got lecture videos. Um, I'm going to lecture on some of the readings, typically the chapters from the Spurrier and Topi books. Uh, there'll be some overlap between the lectures and the readings, but I try to add a lot of commentary, so I think it'll probably make sense both to read and play. Um, when we get into doing these systems analysis skills where we're creating a diagram or some kind of a document uh, to document the requirements or to express the design. Um, I'm going to have tutorial videos that you can play to see me do the activity before you have to do it for your skills practice assignment. Um, Skills practice assignments are um, creating documents that are part of practicing the kinds of documents that we're going to be creating for our clients when we do the project. Um, I just said that there's going to be a tutorial video, typically, that you're able to play before you have to do it. So you're going to see me do that kind of skill before you're expected to do it yourself. Um, the approach that we take to skills practice assignments is we want everybody to try it and do it and hand it in before uh, so that we can compare notes and discuss them in our next at the beginning of our next class. Um, to really encourage that, what I've done is uh, I've done a job. I've done a deal on the grading for this that says, provided that you hand your work in on time, which is late Sunday night, and you follow the direction on how to name and organize the things you hand in, and you make a good faith effort on all parts, you'll be guaranteed to get at least an 85. Okay, so even if a particular skills practice assignment goes completely sideways, okay, it's not going to ruin your grade. Okay, the farthest that you can fall down in that scheme, if you're on time and following the rules and making a good faith effort, is to B. Okay, so that's not going to pull your average down that much. All right, but I'm expecting you to get it done and hand it in on time and make a good faith effort and follow the directions. Um, the final project is going to be uh, a project for a real client. Okay, and you can see some of the details. Here, we're going to have a team of from 2 to 4 people. We're not going to have single person teams. Uh, More than one person teams is kind of the way projects like these are done these days. So I want to practice them as they're done. Um, it'll be your job collectively to find a real world client. Okay. So if you're going to have a team of two between 2 people, well, you need to find one client. If you're going to have a team of four between 4 people or among 4 people, you need to have one client. Okay. Um, You'll be choosing an approach for the project, either a traditional kind of waterfall uh, approach, which we'll learn about, or the agile approach, which we'll learn about, or some kind of hybrid approach. One of the things that I really like about the Spurrier and Topi book is they're kind of big fans of hybrid, and they go out of their way to describe what a hybrid might look like. Um, so what you're going to create, uh, is it just going to be documents, or is it going to be documents and software? It's going to depend on the approach that your team takes to the project. Uh, if you're doing the agile approach and you're producing software, uh, then you're probably going to have a smaller scope than a team that is just going to take a more traditional approach and is going to document the requirements and the design. Okay, because you'll actually be implementing. So we take that into consideration. Um, this kind of business of finding a project and picking an approach and finding people, it's all interrelated. Okay, so if you kind of look at this and kind of go, well, I don't know how I'm going to do this, or I don't know about a client, or I don't know about an approach, or I don't know who's going to be on my team. As we meet in the early parts of the semester, we're going to be talking about this and breaking up into groups and coordinating is a major part of what we do. So it will come together. How do I know that? I've been organizing classes like this for more than 10 years now, and they always come together. Um, Often students are reticent in the beginning thinking, how is this all going to come together for me and us? So I respect the fact that there's reticence and doubt, but I've done this with large numbers of students over the last since maybe 2010. Okay, so what's that? 10 years, and it always comes together. Um, but don't be surprised if you're a little bit worried about that right now. Okay, we'll get you past that. Um, Attendance at class is expected. It's expected at all iSchool classes. If you miss a class, please play the recording. If you can't find the recording, please talk to the help desk. Participation is a big percentage of your grade. It makes up 10% of your grade. Um, what I do is I count these things that you do during the course. One is to send that greetings post. Another is to speak during class, um, to type into the chat during a class, to present your solution to a skills practice exercise, uh, to be a spokesman for your group when we do breakout sessions. We're going to do those a lot. You are important points for all of those, and at the end of the semester, I add those all up and I grade it on a curve. More later. As for grading, I finally have gotten to the point where I have a grading policies part of the syllabus. And that's because I really want to avoid disappointment on the parts of students where they get to the end of the course and they're worried about their grade and they don't know what recourse they have. Okay. So here are my policies. I'm just going to read the headline of each one. I leave it to you to read through the details. So at the end of the syllabus, there are iSchool and university policies. Some of those affect grades, so we'll talk about that section, but realize that there are iSchool and university policies for grades um, that apply. Careful attention to detail is required. So being a systems analyst is a very detail-oriented job. It's an information professional job. It's professional in the sense that you, as the professional, you're in charge of what's right. The client isn't. The client's responsible for expressing their needs and their wants, but you can't go to the client and say, is this correct? Have I messed up the details? Okay. You're expected to go to the client and tell them, here's the work, I'm ready to review it. Okay. There is a part of systems analysis where you're kind of communicating in a kind of a cyclical way with the client, and you are getting feedback about your work. But um, you should you should know that you stand by the details that you're handing in every time you hand them in. Okay. So when we grade your work, we're going to pay a lot of attention to details. One good thing for you to do is go through the grading rubric for each assignment point by point and make sure you're getting all the points that you're supposed to be getting. Okay? Most people are surprised at how detailed we're expecting you to be. Assignment resubmissions are not permitted, so you hand an assignment one time. Um, the the deal that I've offered on the grading of skills practice assignments should keep you from having one kind of bad day ruining your entire course grade. So instead of regrading these things all the time, we're going to grade them once, okay? We're going to put a significant amount of class time into discussing uh, what are kind of good answers, what are okay answers, what are unfavorable answers. No resubmissions. Okay. Uh, Deadline extensions must be requested before the deadline. So I will entertain requests for extensions for people who have a rationale for that. It's much easier to give extensions on skills practice assignments um, uh, that um, up until the time of the next class when we're going to review the solutions. Okay. Um, if you need an extension beyond that, it's going to be difficult, but we'll see what we can do. Um, Deductions are going to be made for late submissions. This is important because with the skills practice assignments, we are going to be publishing the solutions and sharing them. Okay, so if you're going to hand yours in late, you're going to have seen the solutions. Okay, so they're big deductions for being late. Uh, Assignments that are too late will not be graded. So what's too late? So for a skills practice assignment, it's more than 14 days late. For a final project, it's more than 7 days late. Okay, these are pretty generous. Um, if you need an extension of the too late date, well, open a ticket and apply for one. Okay, if you have a rationale, um, we'll see what can be done to accommodate that and get your assignment graded. The next one is very important and it's pretty simple. Grade adjustments will be limited to automatic rounding. Okay, so each assignment that we have, it's going to be graded from 1 to 100. Okay, uh, and the grading rubric can yield fractional values. So you can get a 91.2 or a 91.55. Okay, and we're automatically going to round that with simple rounding so that we get an integer. Okay, so we're either going to get a 91 or a 92. Okay, and we're just going to use simple rounding. Fractional parts that are zero point 0 through 0.4 will be rounded down. Fractional parts that are zero point 0.5 through 0.9 are rounded up. That's all the adjusting that we're going to do. So I'll tell you, I get a lot of requests from people who they find out that their final grade is coming out 1 point below some kind of threshold. So it's just a B plus, not quite an A minus, or it's just an A, not quite an A plus. And they have all these kind of questions like, what if I could just get one more point? And the answer is the only thing we're going to do to adjust grades is to round the fractional values automatically. Okay. 8, regrading requests made using the service desk will be given fair consideration. If you're looking for your grade and the feedback form that we send you and you don't see it, well, maybe we missed yours, or maybe you handed it in late and we had already graded them. Well, put in a ticket to request us to regrade that and we'll do it. Likewise, if you get your grade and the feedback form and you've read it and you think, well, I don't think they really understood what I did there. I think I deserve more credit. Well, then open a ticket for a regrading request and we'll give it a fair assessment. Maybe we missed something. Okay. Number 9, extra credit opportunities are not available. Okay, because we set this the scoring up for the skills practice assignments that that one bad day is not going to ruin your entire grade average. Uh, we don't do extra credit opportunities. Number 10, skills practice assignment submissions that meet certain criteria are subject to a minimal score guarantee. And that's, again, provided that you hand the assignment in on time and you follow the directions about how to organize and to name it, and that you make a good faith effort on all parts, you're going to score at least 85. Okay. If you hand it in late, you can't score more than 84. There's no reason to hand in anything late. Your participation grade will be based on participation points earned throughout the semester. Okay, so what things can you do to earn participation points? Well, you can make your greetings post to the service desk. That's at 10 point. That's astronomical. You'd be foolish not to do that. Uh, every time you post in the open discussion forum, either a post or reply earns you 1 point. Every time you make a speaking contribution during class earns you 2. Every time you make a typed chat contribution during class earns you 1 point. If you're one of the people who presents the solution to your assignment in class, then you earn 5 points. That's a pretty good deal. Or if you're the spokesperson for your breakout group, that'll earn you 5 points. So what do I do with these? Well, they accumulate throughout the semester, and in the end of the semester, I add them all up and I see how many points everybody earned, and I grade them on a curve. Okay, so the person who got the median value or participation points is going to get an 85. The person who got the highest is going to get 100. I'm going to pick a value that scores 75. I'm going to pick an index value that earns 65. Anything less than 10 is going to get a 0. So how does this part of your grade work? Well, it kind of works like this. It'll give you a few points a boost, or it'll pull you down a few points, as much as about a point and a half, um, uh, depending upon uh, where you are in the participation. Okay, so for instance, if you've got a 95 from your skills practice assignments, and then you you earned, let's say you had the highest participation points in the class, you'd probably pick up about a point and a half. That'd probably put you up to about 96.5. Okay. On the other hand, if you had the median value of participation, that would probably get you an 85. That would probably that'd probably bring you down about a point or a point and a half. Okay, so participation is going to bump you up a little or pull you down a bit, depending upon where you are. Um, the one thing that's a big deal for participation is if you don't have 10 participation points and you get a 0, that's going to lower you by a whole letter a grade. So if you were headed for getting an 85, now you're going to get 75. If you were, uh, I mean, yes, and if you were headed for 95, then you're going to wind up with an 85. So don't score fewer than 10 participation points. Make sure you get your greetings post in. Okay? Attendance in class may affect your grade. I don't I don't grade attendance directly, but because the participation points are all earned, all but one thing are earned in class. If you don't come to class, you're not going to get your participation points, and that's going to wind up having a big impact on your participation grade and then your overall grade. Um, okay, so the basis for determining your overall grade, at 10% of it is going to be your participation grade, that's individual. Your skills practice assignments, it's going to be 45% of your grade, that's individual again. And then your final project is going to be 45% of your grade. That's going to be a group or team grade. Okay, and there's going to be three deliverables for the team: a project plan, a project report, and a team presentation video. Okay, and so of the 45%, five of that is a project plan, 15% of that is a project report, and 25% is the team presentation video. All the people on the same team or group will get the same grade unless there are people who don't make a fair contribution. And one of the things I'm going to have you do is do peer evaluations at the end of the semester so I can ensure that we got a fair contribution from all of the participants. Okay? The, the table that comes next is a pretty standard table of how we turn number grades for the overall course into letter grades. Again, here, the only thing that's going to go on is simple rounding. Okay, and if it turns out that you're just short of an A minus, if your simple rounding gets you to 89, you might be disappointed that you don't have an A minus, okay? Or if it brings you to 96, you might be disappointed that you didn't get to A plus. But the only adjustment that I'm going to be able to make is going to be simple rounding. Okay. Now, the very last section here is both kind of really interesting and maybe a little boring. Okay. How's it boring? Well, it's boring in the final way. Okay. These are things that should appear on every syllabus from our department. Okay. So if you've already taken a bunch of courses in our department, you've probably seen a lot of the language that's here. Okay. A lot of times when we have standard language that goes into documents, we call it boilerplate. Okay. And it's just like, well, it's what you expect to see in that kind of document. So kind of mundane. On the other hand, these are all really important policies and things that you should be concerned about. So if you haven't seen them and you don't fully understand them, these are really important to read and really important to understand every part of. So there are policies here for incomplete grades, for academic integrity policy. There's a statement of inclusion. There's a religious observances policy. There's an accessibility statement. There's a COVID-19 statement. Okay. Now, I'm here as your first level of help having to do with all of these policies, right? If you don't understand them or you need help in getting, certain treatment under the policy, and you don't know who to go to, come to me. And I might not be the person, to help you or to give you your final answer, but I'll take responsibility for getting you matched up with people who will. Okay? So again, especially as if this is the first time you're seeing these things, give it a read and make sure that you understand all aspects of this. Okay? So that's the syllabus right there. And let's just come back here. Okay? So you should have enough stuff uh, between the Canvas and the weekly schedule and all the stuff there. You should have all the stuff that you need to get ready for the course. I'm going to be adding some more content when I come back from vacation on the 23rd. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys on the evening of the 29th. We're going to have our, not the 29th, 25th, where we're going to have our first class. Okay? To the extent that certain things might look a little vague right now, they're going to get more concrete when we meet on the 25th. So please have some patience. Stuff that may look like it's challenging, I think it's going to turn out to be pretty doable. Again, I've been taking people through courses like this for about 10 years, and I've probably taken 600 people through classes like this, and they always work out, and they're always a lot of fun. People feel happy and accomplished when we get done, even people who had some doubts when we started. So I look forward to be able to talk through some of that stuff when we meet on the evening of the 25th. So get to work on reading things and getting ready, and I'll be back on the 23rd. Until then, I'm going to say bye for now. Bye bye.